We thank you. We're so thankful to have been able to connect with each and every one of you in some way. We're also thankful and grateful for the fact that y'all were able to connect with one another and be able to generate new relationships or strengthen current existing relationships, but also to learn something new that increases your perspective and your worldview. Nō reira e te iwi, can you please give yourselves a big round of applause? And I hope you all will join, well, I know y'all will, because we're going to do this together. Give us a warm welcome for Maddie and Eruera, our next speakers, to open off the rest of this keynote session.
Kei oku nui, kei oku rahi, ku tamarahi ki te raki, mau kāroko ki te whenua, nei anō te reo o Aoraki Mauka, ka pāoro I ka pari ka rakaraka o ka tupuna. Ko te tuatahi, kia koutou kei te mana, te ahi, te wera o nei o ngā whenua tauri kura, te ati awa, tō rangatira, koutou te pā whakawairua, e pupuri nei te mana o tēnei o ngā whenua, tēnā o koutou. Tai atu kia koutou, ngā mokopuna o ngā tupuna, koutou e whakakanohi, e waha I ngā ohaki o rātou mā ko wehe ki tēnei te ao hurihuri. Tai atu ko koutou anō hoki ngā mokopuna o rātou, ngā tupuna o a pōpō. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora.
Nei te mihi nui kia koutou, ko Madison Simons tōku ingoa, here tēnei no Ngāi Tahu Ngāti Whātua, te roroa me Ngāti Kahungunu. Kia ora, I am Madison and I am the Rangatahi Labs Director for Tokona Te Raki. Would you like to introduce yourself for us, Sam?
Kia ora koutou. On my father's side, I'm Ngāti Pākehā, actually from Ingarangi, and on my mother's side, Ngāi Tahu Ngāti Porou and Te Whānau-a-Apanui. And I have the pleasure of working with Madison, and I'm the Kaihautu Tāne Executive Director for Tokona Te Raki, Māori Futures Collective, which is an indigenous iwi social innovation lab, part think tank, part do tank, that sits under the mana of Ngāi Tahu.
I'm presuming this is going to make me go next. Yep. Beautiful. So just to open, we thought we'd give you a little bit of background of our whakapapa of Tokona Te Raki and the name. So the name Tokona Te Raki comes from Matiaha Tira Morehu, who was the man who led our claim against the Crown over 8 generations ago now. And it talks of the karakia Te Waiata Taka Mai o Te Atua, which talks of the Ngāi Tahu creation story. And within it, it talks of te pō, te kore, and te ao. And at the time, within Ngāi Tahu, it's a little bit of a different story. Papa Tuanuku and Ranginui are connected because Ranginui was injured from his battle with Tangaroa, and he spoke to his children, Tāne and Paia, to separate them so that the light could come in, te ao marama could be present, and that there was new hope and new space for human and people. And so they used 3 toko toko, or now they're kind of talked to as the canes for our kaumātua, but 3 po to lift the skies and lift the heavens so that people could prosper. And so Tokona Te Raki, lifting the skies, lifting the heavens, we connect to that in the sense that we are trying to lift the skies for our people, lift the ceiling for our people, but also that the weaving pattern behind it, similar to tuku panels in the marae, it strengthens the marae, it brings people together. So we think of the po or the toko as collaboration and bringing people together and binding them, but also the weaving is that we have to unlearn a lot of the things that we know and do to bring in that new light and to bring in that new prosperous space for our people, but also rebind them so that we are collaborative and collective and share space together.
I think one of the hardest challenges we have is explaining what the hell we do. But we're basically a research, design and innovation lab. that's focused on those big grand challenges of our people. So we look at social innovation, and that's kind of, I suppose, the what we do, try to understand the whakapapa of issues, identify the biggest changes that are going to have the most impact, and then try to activate them and action them in the real world. There's kind of another layer to that of how we do that, and that's very much around really next-gen solutions and growing that next generation of Māori leadership. And so we have what we call as an academy, where we equip rangatahi with strategies, tools, and techniques to be leading systems change. And so we call that Māori future making, and really who better to be designing and building a better future than the ones that are going to inherit it. And so that's a big part of our mahi, is rather than sort of supporting our rangatahi to do an apprenticeship in the status quo or business as usual, how do we train them in a mātauranga Māori-led approach to design, to innovation, and to systems change, so that they can be doing an apprenticeship in future making and transformation and making the world a better place.
Yeah, cool. So I think, just quickly over our vision, I think when you think of the future, it's not overly positive, especially for our rangatahi Māori, for our Pasifika whānau. And so when we ask rangatahi to be prepared for that and to move into that space and be the leaders of that space, I don't want to be the leader of an environment that is dying. I don't want to be a leader of a housing crisis. I want to be the leader of rangatahi movements and bringing people along and working together. And so how do we make the future appealing for our young people? We have to change it. And so our vision is to make rangatahi excited and interested and want to move towards the future and take ownership of that, but we do that through our own mātauranga. I think of the cousin down at Auckland University who told us that our mātauranga wasn't science. It is science that is grounded in whānau and heart and people, which is far more exciting and more important than mainstream science. So I think when you think of that, you're bringing our young people along, who are the people that are going to be living in the future that our Pākeke and adults are creating for us now. I want to say in that, but grounded in mātauranga Māori, mātauranga Ngāi Tahu, and then to create that future, we have to do. We can't just sit and think about it, we have to move into doing it. And so that, I guess, is a quick overview of the vision of Tokona Te Raki and what we're trying to achieve.
Really love the whakaaro Old Waka New Seas, and really, again, so much of our mahi is just around reclaiming the future and always thinking about ka mua ka muri, looking back to move forward, me mōhio iahu mai koe e hia, kia ngātu koe ki hia, all of those whakatauki, te tiro, mā te tiro whakamuri, ka anga whakamua. So it's encoded in our traditions, just always needing to look back to move forward. And again, thinking about that, at one point, even for us as Ngāi Tahu, from the bottom of the south, we're like still the tail end of this Pacific civilization that kind of crossed the biggest expanse in the planet, the Pacific Ocean, Te Moana Nui a Kiwa, at a time when most other big civilizations weren't sailing beyond the sight of land. So we've got that magic, they were I always think about tupuna as, sort of the first astronauts. That's the kind of magnificence that's in our DNA, and how do we sort of reclaim some of those patterns and some of those mindsets. And so really just thinking about when we talk about the future, and a lot of our work with rangatahi is, there's so much of that is just dominated by fear, of climate change, of robots taking your jobs, of, in many ways, trying to work through even just the deficit thinking of our present, that if you're brown, just don't get locked up, don't get pregnant. So they're already bombarded and starting from a position where they're getting bombarded with negative images in the present, let alone starting to think about, well, what happens when you compound that with really negative, fear-driven stories around a future. And so just trying to think about, at some point, our ancestors were on an island, and our traditions, it was te patu nui o aio, and we had a waka called te waka huruhuru manu, a waka out of bird feathers that was cast off across the heavens, sailed beyond the horizon, and then eventually came back all battered and bruised. And so they took that as a sign of storms, a sign of energy, and a sign of a potential of life. And that was the trigger for getting on the Waka and making that migration. And often too, we think about that, our kōrero are always coded, with layers of metaphor and meaning. But just thinking of our tupuna didn't pick a random direction and go off sailing. And again, our own mātauranga tells that, but even Western science confirms that if you just pick a random direction, everyone would have ended up dead. Because if you look at a map of our ocean, there's these tiny slivers of land, these dots of land across the ocean, that our tupuna were following bird migration paths. So they were reading the data of their time and understanding, well, what are some of the trends, and starting to identify their trajectory to head into the future. And so when we think about te paitata, often when we talk about going on a journey and thinking about, well, how do we navigate the unknown? How do we navigate complexity? One of the first things is just kind of knowing, well, what's the shit we need to leave behind? And when we think about the idea of Hawaii, Hawaii isn't just a destination place, it's also the place we leave behind. And when we think about that, all of the major island groups in Te Moananui-a-Kiwa, whether it's Savaii, Hawaii, it's a big island with a large volcano, because that's what you can see as you depart from it. So when you go on that journey into the unknown, you can't discover new land until you've been out and ventured across the ocean. So the first kind of navigation marker is just being really clear about what you're leaving behind. And so when we think about that, looking backwards, to go, well, we have a whole bunch of bad stuff, bad statistics in our history. What are the patterns, the behaviors, the policies, and some of the values and mindsets that enable that stuff to happen and continue to hold our people down? And so thinking about that, what is the stuff we need to leave behind? And also thinking about that paitata, to go that if we think about our future, te paitata is like that probable future, to go, well, what happens if we keep doing what we're doing? What happens if we get climate change plus, inequality plus? It's just more of the same with a little bit more bad stuff, versus starting to think around, well, how do we think about the future that we want? What's our paitawhiti? What's the future that we would prefer to see? And how do we start to figure out, how do we make those deviations and changes in our course to get there? So just some kind of things around that paitata versus that paitawhiti, and to go, that we're in a space where we come from a past and a history where, Māori have been a minority, and we need to start to be thinking about, as a nation, how do we start preparing for when Māori Pacifica and Asian populations become over 50% of our population by 2050? And that's awesome. I think of my auntie Kiwa. She looks at all our mokopuna in the whānau and she goes, oh, ka mau te wehi. She's East Coast. Ka ora te iwi, that we are a prosperous people. And so we've had this younger, faster growing population. And so we've got to start to shift from thinking about us as a minority to start to think around, well, what happens in our future when we have a brown majority workforce, a brown majority voting public, but also a much younger age structure. Just some of those things in terms of, inequality at the moment, and just for Māori, the inequality in terms of pay gap. It's just one little thing. I don't really like bad statistics, but, that roughly equates to $2.8 billion per year, roughly a 20% pay gap, which is twice that of the gender pay gap. And starting to think around, well, if we don't start tackling some of these big grand challenges on our horizon, then the harms, the economic harms, the social harms to the fabric, and the moral harms too to who we are as a country just grow as our population grows. And so when we think about that, roughly in our takiwā, and pretty much is pretty consistent across, that our Māori population grows by 80% by 2040, but also too that our rangatahi is basically doubling in size in terms of a population over the next sort of 15 years. So we need to think about, as iwi, what happens when we become tribes of rangatahi, tribes of young people, and how do we really start to not think of inequality as inevitable, but start to think around what are the conditions we need to be creating for them to be successful for our whānau, but also how do we connect with an ageing Pākehā population where their success, their superannuation, their ability to get that hip replacement is going to be largely dependent on a Māori Pacifica younger workforce being able to care for an ageing Pākehā population heading into retirement. Probably should have said at the start too, so we're going to try and think about, well, what are some things on the horizon, and then how do we kind of wind that back into some of the dewey mahi. So we're going to share some of the research we do. We have a team of kairangahau Māori, rangatahi researchers, and then Madison is also going to talk about, well, some of the practical mahi we're doing to try to activate some of these insights and make them happen. And again, coming back to that old Waka, new seas, our Waka tradition is uruwao, and on its migration, it was beset by storms, dark clouds, big waves, and so the tohunga on board Rākai Hautu recited a karakia, a haia te awa, wāhia te awa, puti tua, puti waho. And he used his adze kāpaki tua to basically cleave the waves apart and kind of carve out an awa, a pathway forward for the waka. And that's how our tradition accounts of how we made it to Te Waipounamu. And in thinking about that, really it's trying to think about even post-COVID, how do we not go back to inequality as usual, but start to think around, well, how do we create a new horizon, a new space for us to shift to? And that's kind of our future skills strategy we have for our rangatahi and our people in our takiwa. How do we create a better horizon and a better tomorrow? Yeah, that's kind of that future where even as tangata whenua, we're living our best lives in our own land. Seems kind of simple, but most of the people I grew up with are living their best lives on the Gold Coast, where they can be earning 2 to 3 times more, have a 3 to 4 bedroom house and a swimming pool, and you kind of need to be a CEO to kind of have that kind of stuff here. So just thinking about why isn't it that even our own land can be the best place for our people to live? And, you know, that classic thing of, you know, Māori being globally hot but locally not. You know, you shouldn't have to move to Australia to finally rekindle your passion for your culture and for people to see and welcome you as Māori in education, in the workplace and in society. Also a big part of our mahi when we talk about equity is just starting to figure out, well, how do we get there? And how do we turn equity for Māori both into a day job for our rangatahi, but also turn equity into a solvable, something that's solvable and actionable. And so some of that is just putting out, identifying, well, what are those equity gaps look like? And so when we think about just even the takiwa of Ngāi Tahu, you know, that equity for our people would be supporting an additional 6,000 Māori to be moving into higher skill, higher pay leadership positions within our workforce, and additional 400 rangatahi in our takiwa achieving university entrance every year on top of what we're already achieving.
Awesome. So with placemaking, like Edu said, is that we're not at home in our own takiwa, we're not at home on our own whenua. And so one of the initial kind of spaces we're looking at is placemaking in terms of, even if we think traditionally, Māori placemaking traditionally was seasonal. And so we changed and developed and adapted and moved based off what our whenua and what our taiao could give us. And there's no different mindset for now to go, our environment and the spaces that we're sitting in are changing rapidly, and we're not currently in the position to feel the need to change. If we think of Pākehā or Pākehā placemaking or pre-colonial placemaking, it was solid buildings, concrete buildings, status quo, not able to adjust, not able to move, not able to change the way that they are formed. And so moving forward, we're looking at this mindset of Māori placemaking and the art and science of placemaking in terms of how do we move back to this mindset and state that we can adapt, and we are an adapting people, and we change and we move and we're willing to adjust because of the things that occur. So yeah, similarly to the diagram, it's in our whenua and what we can control, we can change and we can move with the times. And actually when we get enough people in our kāinga or in our space, it becomes a movement, and we can convince our partners and the people sitting in the room that our mindset that we can change and adjust isn't just for our people. We the minority often in a room. So how do we change the mindsets of the people around us to know that we need to be moving and changing with the times that we're living in?
I had the pleasure of, we do a lot of mahi with one of our whanaunga, Hano Regan, and she traced the whakapapa of racism in our education system through legislation and policy, right back to the 1860s. Yeah, and it was literally like Māori shall make their living by manual labour, not mental labour. And these are ideas that were embedded in policy and legislation all the way through, right up probably to the last couple of decades. And just thinking about these, the impact of that, that inequality isn't inevitable. It's not something that we've done. It's something that was manufactured and produced by design. And it's no different for our Pasifika whānau when you think of official policies that were around assimilation and also around creating a brown blue-collar workforce. And so those things, none of those policies, those racist policies, have served us well in the past, and that our current disadvantage and inequalities are the result of those racist policies. But I think we also need to acknowledge that not only were they bad now, then and now, and causing harm, but we also know that they're really badly prepared for a younger, browner, growing population that's going to be part of a brown majority workforce and population in Aotearoa in 2050. And so, again, when we think about that, to go that we are highly vulnerable to future change. And when we have things like recessions, it's wahine Māori, whānau Māori that are always, hit first, hit hardest, and hit longest. The GFC, the global financial crisis of 2009, some mahi done by the Southern Initiative in South Auckland showed that it took 12 years for Māori and Pasifika whānau to get back to that point where we were before the GFC. So we don't want to have that pattern where we're always last on and first off when we have these economic speed bumps. But most important, when we start looking ahead, we can see, well, that kind of turbulence and the pace of change means that we're going to more likely experience future shifts and future changes, and we need to be preparing to ride those waves of change rather than be buried by them. So a key part of our mahi is how do we start to understand those future opportunities, those pathways that will lead to equity, to a good living that can support a whānau, opportunities for progression, and to build immunity to economic shocks and recession. So how do we start to build that immunity so that we can be prospering from those future opportunities rather than always being the ones being left behind? And just some things to be thinking about for us, that we've come from a history where you kind of have that, all my uncles, they had that one job for life. A few of my aunties had the same. And when the post office at the pa got shut down, my aunties never got another job. My uncles that lost their job at the freezing works and then always struggled afterwards because their whole identity was built around this one profession. And we know that it's most likely that our rangatahi are going to have 18 jobs over 5 careers, that they're not going to have an identity built around profession. In order for them to be prosperous, actually they need to trust their gut and know that they're going to be best served by building their identity around purpose, around their kaupapa, and being able to be prepared to navigate change. And so we need to start thinking of that job for life and that sort of linear pathway of school, training, and a job, and then retire, but starting to think around, well, how do we build that infrastructure so our people are continually learning and always being in a position to adapt to change. And some of the key things we can see is that that we're starting to see that future of work where even the jobs pre-COVID aren't bouncing back, but we're starting to see a much stronger growth in higher skilled, more technical jobs. And how do we start to build that scaffolding, that potama, so our people can be connecting with those future opportunities. This is real technical, but this is kind of one of our rangatahi economists built basically a plan for equity, and it just looks at a 6-year forecast of what are the jobs that pay over $50,000. It's not a huge amount, but it's enough to support a whānau. Offer opportunities for promotion and progression. So these are either stepping stone jobs to careers or a career of themselves. None of them are dead ends. And also jobs that offer opportunities for progression and are insulated from changes to the future of work. And that whole idea around fear, particularly, that robots are taking our jobs in the future, that what we're already seeing through the data is actually the most valuable skills in our workforce are all the human skills like communication, creativity, collaborative problem solving and teamwork. So the robots, AI is kind of slowly starting to eat into a lot of that boring stuff, and all those things like manakitanga, like mahitahi, like whanaungatanga are actually appreciating in the job market. So the key thing is that we don't need to be more robotic to survive in the future. We actually need to tap into our humanity. And if there's one complexity that isn't going away, it's the complexity of humans and having big kick-ass problems to solve. So really, how do we start to be equipping our rangatahi with the tools that will set them out for success, but also set them up so that they can be the future makers and tackling some of these big kick-ass challenges of our future.
Now that I'm hearing this presentation out loud, I'm starting to realise that the first half we're just talking about everything that's really shit for all of us. So apologies for that. But the second half of this presentation is about how we plan on changing it. And ultimately, I think that's why we're here, is because our solution is rangatahi. So at Tokona Te Raki, what we have started at the beginning of this year is a Māori Futures Academy, where we have 12 rangatahi employed in Tokona Te Raki. And it's building an army of Māori future makers. Like Edu said, predominantly our young people are pushed into areas and apprenticeships and trade, or maybe you could be a hairdresser, maybe you could be a nurse, but in reality, there are a lot of those positions we know that are going, but it's also that why can't we be more than that? And so we are trying to run a program where we are doing an apprenticeship in Māori future making, an apprenticeship in social collaboration, social innovation and social change for our communities. And so we have had the first year of it this year. They are all still with us, so I'm not doing my job too terribly, which is fantastic to know. But it is, again, that myself and the rangatahi in this room are going to be those that are living in the future that you are currently creating. And we should all have a say in that, but the reality is that a lot of our professional spaces that make those decisions, that write those policies, our faces are not in the room. And so it was a collective decision to bring them on full time, bring them into our space, and it's generally just an opportunity for them to come in with their passions. We give them the tools, the platform, the support, the awhi to recognise that they have the ability to create change. Quite often I refer to it and compare it to our Te Reo Māori revitalisation kaupapa within Ngāi Tahu, ko tahi mano kaika. In Ngāi Tahu, we were always seen as kind of the white cousins or the Pākehā cousins down south, and that was because we were losing our language. And so all of our aunties, I just said aunties, but Edu was a part of that too, and he's not of that generation that we call uncle yet, and he's my boss. So, but is that ko tahi mano kaika, they made the executive decision to run a kaupapa called Generation Deal, which instead of supporting the 30 plus group to speak te reo, they focused on all of the babies that were born in that generation, to go, if we can support a whole generation to kōrero Māori and to speak te reo Māori, then they're going to go out into their spaces, they're going to have kids, and they're going to have whānau that will also carry that on. And so if you think about social change or collaborative impact, what happens if we created a whole generation that innately thought at a systems level and innately thought, how do we change the whole system rather than be the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff? How do we stop being the Band-Aid? How do we narrate and communicate with those policymakers so that we are systems changing? So they come in, they amplify their voice, we give them platforms and networks, and then the hope is, we're only 3 months through, so we're half, a little bit there, but there's still time that they go out into the communities and the spaces that they're working and they love and they're passionate about, and they convince the people around them that systems change is the way to go rather than those Band-Aids. So, hands up if you've watched Avatar: The Legend of Aang. That's a good program. Yeah, every episode. Kora, okay. So I kind of think of this pikiti or this picture, we call it and refer to it as our tupuna state. So if you think of Aang and Avatar, he goes into a state where he can go and talk to his previous lives or the people that came before him as the avatars. And he learns from them and he gets wisdom from them. And then he comes back to our side and creates change for the people based off that wisdom. We call it something really similar in our tupuna state, that actually there's so much that we can be learning from our tupuna, our kaumātua, our Pākeke, that wisdom that they have had navigating the spaces we hope to work in to create a better future for our next generations, for our mokopuna. I think it's as simple as going, I don't actually want to be a good rangatahi, I want to be a good tupuna. So what am I doing now so that when I am not here and our moko are here, what have we done to create a better future? If we think of within Māori traditions, our tupuna navigated seas, our tupuna wanted a better future for us. Within Ngāi Tahu, we had tupuna that, contacted the Crown, wrote a letter, got in contact with Auntie Queenie, and made change because we knew we could do it. And the idea is that that's their legacy that they're leaving us. What is the legacy that we're prepared to leave for the people after us? The kawa we work with in Tokona Te Raki is called Te Kore Koreka, with our mita or Te Kore Korenga. And it looks at, there's all these social innovation processes from around the world, and they are fantastic and they teach us so much, but they're not ours, and they don't represent us or our whakapapa. And so Eru and a whole lot of other amazing people created Te Kore Korenga, which is our process of social innovation and our process to work collaboratively to make change. And that is what our rangatahi and our academy are being embedded in currently, because even though the Western knowledge is very interesting and fantastic to know, in a brown majority future, our mātauranga is more important. So I guess this is kind of the solution we're looking at with the academy, is Tokona Te Raki, like Edu said, we've kind of got three spaces we work in. Research, we understand problems really, really well. I know everything that shit that happens to our people, we know it really, really well, and it's not okay. And then we've got labs where we look at what are the real impact solutions going to be? Who do we need in the room? What are the conversations we need to have? How are those hui facilitated? And then we've got impact. What rooms do we need to sit in? Whose minds do we need to convince to change to make that process full and collective and collaborative? But again, my voice wasn't in that, our rangatahi's voice wasn't in that, and so it's about creating a waka where our rangatahi, with the support of Pākeke and the support of our kaumātua, have our own space to have rangatahi thought leadership and decide what that future looks like for ourselves. So again, we are not in a privileged position to only have one problem that is impacting our people, Māori, Pacifica, but also all of Aotearoa. We don't have one problem that we need to deal with. We don't just have te reo revitalisation or our settlement. There are so many future of work, housing crisis, climate change, growing inequalities, all of the above. And it's not worth just me knowing how to change it. It's not worth just Edu and I, or even just the people in this room. We need to go and amplify that voice and bring other people on that waka. One of the things being that one of those will be rangatahi-led, and we will build that flotilla and we will get more people along the way. But it's our next generation solutions having the platform to actually be able to communicate that and talk to that. I think we just wanted this in here because it was cool, to be honest. But I guess for me, my last points, and I've said it before, is that we are, as rangatahi and as a youth rōpū, I hope we can change our mindset from that, yes, we can be amazing rangatahi and we can be fantastic at what we do as youth in this country, but to change our mindset to what tūpuna would we want to be, what would we want to leave behind. Our tūpuna have left a legacy that are out of, you read about that, your kaumātua tell you about this. What is it that your mokopuna will be telling their mokopuna about what we did, about how we succeeded? So I would just love for you all to leave with two things. What are the rangatahi faces, brown faces in your organisation? Is their voice and kōrero tokenistic, or do they actually have a space in your organisation? And then the other one is, what is the legacy that you plan to leave for your mokopuna and their mokopuna?
Maybe two closing whakaaro. We have our papa, Tā Tipene Regan. He always says the trouble with Ngāi Tahu is we're too much like Winston Peters. We know what we're against, we have no bloody idea what we're for. And that's a good part of it. When we even think about things like when we demand systems change, where we can talk about the horrors of colonisation, we also have to start to create some space to be thinking about, well, what does an alternative look like? And how do we imagine something that we haven't actually experienced? Ia kāreno kia rongo, a karu, a taringa, a wairua. And again, there's that simple thing of who better to do that than rangatahi that haven't been institutionalised, like people like me over 2 to 3 decades of working in institutions or whatever. So who is most in touch with that future? And that lovely whakaaro of Kingi Tāwhiao, ki te kāhore he whakakitinga ka ngaro te iwi. Like, if the next generation doesn't have a plan, then they're very surely part of someone else's. And when we think about even ourselves as Māori, as Pacifica, as rainbow communities, to go, we've always been sort of the add-on of someone else's plan. How do we start to envision the future that we want and start to think around how do we empower our rangatahi so that they can turn their purpose into profession and start to be bringing that future closer. So, ka ti au I konei, ka nui aku mihi kia tātou katoa. Tēnā koutou, huri tai āwhio I tō tātou whare. Tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora.
Whawhitete le lava, Dr. Eruera and Madison. I just wanted to say the gifts that you've been given were, that was drawn by a Māori wahine called Oceana Olsen. And I also want to acknowledge the beautiful artwork you had up here. But also just linking it to yesterday's talk by Dr. Melinda Weber, who talked about back mapping and starting from where you want to go to where you are. But what you guys just brought to us today is where we were before to where we are. And just acknowledging how strategic your minds are and the design thinking that you have, which I know stems from your ancestors, as you said, and you being Māori. It's not an additional add-on. It's because you're Māori that you can think like that. So I just want to acknowledge you guys and say thank you. And I know you got a flight to catch, so I'll just let you guys go, eh? Can we give them another round of applause, please? Awesome. I'm going to move us right along, but I want to just say, first of all, that I have someone's wallet with all these credit cards and cash, and I would take it, but, I want to be honest, so I'm just going to read out the person's name. If you've lost a wallet, please, you got heaps of money in here, you need this, man. So Miss C. Rao, R-A-O? Yeah? We good? Okay, sweet. I'll come out that way, okay? I want you to get ready for one of our last poets to wrap us up. She's actually world-renowned. She's amazing, and whenever she enters spaces, I've seen her in different spaces, she just can transform a space. Her name is Takunda Mondoshiwa, so I just want you guys to give her a warm round of applause and bring her up there right now.
Ndisati ndatombozvarwa. Panga patoiswa ropa nesimba kumashure kwezvese zvinondifambisa. Saka mungatisei kuti vanhu vedu havasi zvese zvinoshamisa. Birthed from the villages of Shurugwi, my people would tell stories of Ngozi, the avenging people. Crowned from soul to crown in the skins of past wildlife, faces dusted white in upu. You could never quite tell if they were more muti or munu, more foliage or figure. Ngozi spoke in whispers to the forebearers who told them how to heal the land and how to bring healing over the people. The best translation given in a tongue that is not my own is Ngozi, meaning wizard, or Ngozi, meaning witch doctor. Do you see it? How imperial tongues spit and spin the possibility of Africans being able to bring healing over themselves into a feat of mythology. Do you see it? God forbid the Africans do anything for themselves, so where are our white saviors, our developmental deities, our diasporic children who are taught they need to go learn Western values in order to come back and save their homelands? Do you see it? How assimilation is a tool for white preservation. We don't believe in Ngozi anymore. We believe in Cape to Cairo, the UN and UNICEF, civilizing and modernizing, being looted, then apologizing. Sub-Saharan borders stay burning and bursting, but the arsonists are here to put out the fire. Firing their cannons through their world vision lens, poised and grinning, with children turning carcass draped over their shoulders, dissociated from the colored bodies that add depth to the photo. A toxic fumes industrializing in this industrial toxic tourist machine. But fumes are no reason to close your eyes, so stay smiling. Dissolving corneas almost look like crying, almost look like empathy. Chokwadi vakatora nyika dzedu ndimi makazvitanga. Asi kana chese chauchidzwa, tichauchidzwa kuti sezuva Africa inoramba ichisimuka. Do you hear it? How the allies began shouting, but the Ngozi stayed whispering, and I believe this to be the tune we've become tone deaf to. We don't believe in Ngozi anymore. But remember, you can never quite tell if they are more muti or moon, more foliage or figure. So look around, because Ngozi have always been standing right behind you.
That was Takunda, everybody. I was so moved by their words just on the side of the stage there. We were all gifted and humbled to receive that taonga of yours. Nō reira, e te wahine no tētahi atu o ngā whenua, tēnei au mātou, tēnei mātou e me ki, e mihi atu ki a koe mo tō taonga mai ki a mātou. Nō reira te iwi, we're getting ready to, what's it called? Begin the closing processes. But before we do, we've got a round of thanks and celebration for each and every one of you. So if you can envision an invisible line right in front of me, all the way to the end of where that flash camera is, if you all look. I love the control you have as an MC. There's an invisible line here. On this side is hey, on that side is ho. Those are the things that you say when I raise my hands and move it that way. Ka pai? Let's give that a go. Ka pai. Now let's try and add some rhythm to that, like hey ho, ka pai. 3, 2, 1. Hey ho, hey ho. Woo. No, I love that. I really love that. Now, what I love to do is define a difference and then bring us all together. So we're all going to go hey, and we're all going to go ho. Ka pai? Hey, ho, hey, ho. That sound made no difference from this perspective, but it was beautiful. Thank you so very much. And we've got a yeah, come by you, person in the crowd clapping. Yes.
The Ministry of Youth Development, the Ministry of Social Development, LEVA, the Electoral Commission, Wayne Francis Charitable Trust. We're going to thank our keynote speakers, our supporters, the breakout sessions, those facilitators. What Cam and I didn't do throughout the series is acknowledge the people online who are streaming in and watching us. I didn't realize till my mate tagged me in a post. I was like, I forgot, but hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the conference. We acknowledge you, we see you now. I also want to acknowledge the amazing volunteers who gave up their time and facilitated each room and just gave space to just serve. We see your totoa, we know how much you served this week. So that was the students from Welltech. Give yourselves a round of applause, Welltech. Yeah. Our volunteers from Praxis. Cool. And our 4 Mojo partners. These are the people that came together. They're really important people, so I want to acknowledge SciFans, the New Zealand Youth Mentoring Network, Arataiohi, and the Collaborative Trust. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Louder than that, come on. Yeah. Cool. But we also want to say thank you for being with us. You guys are the special ones who stayed to the end. Okay? We won the gold. So we're going to play a song, and we got like 100 t-shirts to give out, okay? So we're going to look for some moves. I just want you to release anything that you're holding inside. Honestly, bring out your dance moves. This is the time, all right? Yeah? So everyone get up, because we're going to siva. We're going to dance, all right? Yeah? Can I get that up? Sound guy? I've got Whānau and Noah giving out t-shirts. So let's get some dance moves. We got the music up.
Put the music on, please.
Please, music up. Hey, you're not dancing. Woo!
Let us see those moves, everybody.
Let's dance. Come on, dance, guys. Awesome. Wow. I didn't know you guys were going to dance like that for a t-shirt. Okay. Hey, guys, thank you so much for being part of our conference. Yeah? We got some more t-shirts down there, don't worry. But we want to acknowledge 2 people who really put this whole conference together for us and really put hundreds and hundreds of hours. So I want to firstly thank the involved organising ropu who came together and ensured everything was going well. Yeah. But if I can now get the slide up, please, to thank our 2 organisers. They're so key, Bethany Walters and Caitlin Mason.
Keep that noise going.
I also want to just thank Cam. Can everyone say thank you, Cam? Cam, you're the bomb.
And I'd just like to take this as an opportunity to also thank Marina Alefosio from Leva for her spectacular energy and for her to hold the stage in the way that she has. Can everybody say, hey?
To close this up formally, I want to ask my leaders out there, I know I've got some Pacifica leaders out there, to sing Wa Whawhetai for us. If we could all be upstanding. This song acknowledges the gratitude we have and the gratefulness we have as a youth sector to come together. And there is a saying which goes, with unity comes blessing. When we're united in our vision, when we're united in our waka, and we want to head to where we go, there is a blessing that comes with it. And that blessing can look like funding, or it can look like ideas. It can look like fresh creativity. But the idea of coming together as the youth sector is to celebrate also what we have. So if I can get Whānau to lead us, please.
Wa whawhetai, wa whawhetai, wa maki mātauranga ai, wa tasi lava oi, wa tasi lava oi, I lo nei whaamoi mo.
One more time, all together. Sorry, that was on live. Thank you, Whānau. We're going to hand this over now to Kura or Wharirua, but I'm going to get Cam to say thank you to our team who did the pōwhiri and our matua, James, over here.
Tēnā tātou I te whānau ki a koutou ngā kai hāpai, ngā kai whakamano te kaupapa Involve 2021. Nei rā te mihi atu ki a koutou, mai te ngākau kotahi o tātou. Hoko atu tō koutou aroha ki a rātou, kei hea te aroha whānau.
Let's go. Let's go.
Whoop, whoop. Inaina, koe tai mai te wā kia ho atu te Māori kia matua, ko ia te Māngai mo te mana whenua o konei, anō reira mā rātou e whakakapito tātou nei hui, kia tika te haere, kia whakarite te huarahi kei mua ia tātou, anō reira e te iwi e te whānau whānui, ho mai tō aroha kia rātou.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. Tēnei te wā ki te hoatu te Māori, ki tāmi ki makaurau, ki tainui waka, tainui tangata. I tēnei wā, tatanui Māori ake, te Māori o tatanei huihuinga, Māori ake nau mai haere mai. Kei a rātou te hui e tū mai.
Tēnei iau, te hokai nei ngā tapu ai o rātou tīpuna. Ia rātou mā ko turakina ki te pō, kia tītoko ki te ao. Tēnei iau, te hokai nei ia rātou mā, kia tau mai te Māori. Kia uhi, kia wero, kia tai ahaha. Tū tai aha i te pō, tū tai aha i te ao. Patua hoki taku tātā ki te riu tapunu. Ka tāne rei kura rei ora e mahaki e. Ka turuturu wā, ka paupau wā, ki ta whita te rangi, manawa mai ai e. Tū mai awa koko, e takahi atu pe au, nuku tupe au, rangi whatikirunga, whatikiraro, mauru māra. Tēnā hoki rā taku manunui nā tāne, nā toroa ka tatau atu ki roto nuku hae. Mai e te tipua, mai e te tahito, mai e te kāhui o ngā riki. Koro i runga, koro i raro, koro i tāwhiri mā te aki kona koe tū mai ai. Ka hura te tamate anunui, ka hura te tamate aroroa, te ka wakanuku, te ka wakarangi, te aio wānuku, te aio arangi. Te kura mai huki huki, te ka weo te te reo i tūmatara. Ka hura tamate anuku, ka hura te tamate arangi. Ngā ruhinga atu, ngā ruhinga mai, tū mai rā te hukina wenau. Ko ia te ira o tāne, ko ia te ira o hine tūturua, whiti whakamaua kia tina, tina. Haumi e, hui e, tai hine.
Maria mai tēnei tonga ki te munga roa, te waka tuawa, te tainui waka. Maria mai, Maria mai, Maria mai rā.
Wai kato te awa, katohia e wai mau. Katohia e wai mau, kai te ki te puaha o wai kato te awa, he pipo he taniwha. He pipo he taniwha. Ia tū patora te tauri te i ngā auka o wai kato. Whakamau to titiro ki ta whitira ko tau piri te maunga pototo te taumata. Te muri o te motu e aka ki ngāra wahi aturanga wai wai mō te kinitanga te tangi whakamutunga o mātu tai rau e hoki au e.
Te rau waku mai waku te ana tātou ki a koe e o ngā mano tūruari wai o i o ki tōne te rangi me te whenua. Kia rangi nui e tui o nei, kia papa tūnuku e takoto nei, kua ti ai a tātou nei ka papa. Mānahunga tai i tēnei wānanga. I nuhia. E wātiana e tahi o ngā hunga, mai tēnei hua, mai tēnei huihuinga. Mai i tēnei kaupapa, mai i te timatanga taina, mai ki tēnei mutunga. Nau te kai manaki a mātauranga, manaki hia nā aopu, nā mana wahine, mana tāne, nā mana tangata. A rātou koe ke mai, a rātou nei haerenga i runga te mata te whenua. Kua tuki a rātou, nā tiakitanga, no manakitanga, i runga te uarai aere, i runga te mata te whenua. Manaki e hia a rātou nei, i ngaro, nā kau, atu manua, tinana, wairua. Manaki hia ki a rātou, o atu ki a rātou nā nehera pono, nā kai mai, nā kai karere, nā kai tiaki i te au i te pō, i te au i te pō. E wakaunia mai mātou ki roto te aroha noa. Manaki hia mai, a mātau, ana hunga taiohi. Manaki hea mai a rātau, ana tai tamariki, ana tai pakeke, ki te awhi, ki te tiaki, a rātau. Manaki hea tata nei kingi tūheitia, me ona rewa tapu. Me nā pakeke kaumātua e tiaki mai a tātou i te wahanga o nā taiohi. Tēnei te tino tono atu ki au koutou nāriki, nā mātou. E pahere ti ana mātou ki te rangi Māori, i ngā wā katoa, i ngā wāhi katoa. Mau e te māngai te kai waka marama e tautoko mai, tūturu whakapūmau ki tokoro oriatanga. Nā mātou e pai nei, tūturu whakamaua kia tīna, ui e, tāki e. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. You are dismissed.
Thank you, whānau. Oh, I need a big one.
Aha kua te aha mukore, ka Whakarono mai ki au I kore kore ana Ka whakaaro ake hea te aha E kore noa e tahi e rereke Kia maki o pai tawhiti A kua te kokei He mana nui toa te aki He aha te whakaruiti Tiro ki tua, tuara e Whakarono ki nā wai o roto e Kei wehi te wehe nā I toa wā Tiro ki tua, tiro ki tua, tua E koro koro tui roto pā koro e Kia mai au e kore rere I mohi o he nui no atura Tōku ora nai na te hira hira He ora nā nā kau kei tuara Tiro ki tua, tuara e Whakarono ki nā wai o roto e Kei wehi te wehe nā I toa wā Tiro ki tua, tiro ki tua, ki tua Kia maki o pai tawhiti A kua te kokei He mana nui tō te aki Hei aha te whakaruiti Titiro ki tua